Hey guys, so I'm so excited to be doing this video right now. I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to do a series called The Real, and then I would interview a YouTuber or someone on my channel, and I love doing that series so much. And I don't know why I stopped doing it, because I enjoyed it so much and I feel like it helped loads of you guys out. So I'm actually going to be bringing it back today, and I have the lovely Flossie coming on. Flossie. Not only is she just the funniest person ever, but she's the biggest sweetheart, and I'm so lucky to call her one of my friends, and I'm just really grateful that she's coming on this today to talk about her story and share it with you guys. So if you guys do enjoy this series, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications, and follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok. And for now, I think we should FaceTime Flossie. So I'm here with Flossie right now.
Hi!
And first of all, I just want to say I really appreciate you coming on this to talk about your story and share it with everyone. That's why I love doing this series, because it kind of shows that YouTubers they don't have the perfect life, and to actually share your story and what it's like behind closed doors, it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people, and I'm sure everyone appreciates it as much as I do. So I'm actually really excited. I know, when did we actually meet? Was it at a Summer and City party?
Yeah, it was at Summer in the City, but I remember I've like watched all these videos and stuff and I really enjoyed them. I watched the one with Spencer and Yaz, and I feel like it's kind of nice to be like prompted, sort of like have someone there to like, I don't know, just like talk through it with. It makes it feel a little bit less like intimidating, you know?
Yeah, because I know you've done that video which was titled Why I Dropped Out of College, and you were saying in that how it felt really weird for you to actually film a video like that. In that you were talking about kind of not your personal life but at school and how that affected you and stuff. So I guess to start off, if we start at the beginning, what was life for you when you were younger, like growing up?
So at primary school I was fine. I've always been very lucky, like I've had a very loving, supportive family. Like my bond with my family has always been very close. But when I went to high school, I definitely went through a very rocky time, and I think that was probably one of the worst times in my life, because I moved to high school, and I think it's the same with a lot of people, and I think it's especially in girls, but like kind of cliques start forming, and I definitely felt very much like an outsider. And I think when you're so young and you're going through all these hormonal changes as well, and in my case, like my hormones were just all over the place, yeah, it was really hard adjusting to like friendships changing and friendship groups changing, and you're kind of trying to find your place, find your identity, and that mixed with sort of a whole new school environment. Like I kind of put my mental health problems that I went through when I was younger, I wouldn't say I really currently go through any now, down to that whole like transitional phase of school, and it's something I've never really spoken about before, so I'm like excited and glad to be speaking about it here. But yeah.
How old were you when that kind of shifted into a negative experience with school?
I was about, well obviously it was when I joined, it was in year 7, and I feel kind of comfortable talking about it now, because I think I've built like friendships, or at least I'm civil with like all the people it concerns. So you know, when I'm talking about it, I do want to talk about it openly, and I kind of think I have the right to talk about it openly, but I'm not, you know, I'm not going to sit and bash those people. But I had like a kind of a friendship that like broke, who I'd been friends with this person since a very young age, and then we moved to high school and it kind of broke. And there was definitely a group of friends who were like the pretty girls, and they were all very slim, very pretty, and I was like a bit of a weird looking child. So my best friend basically kind of moved away from me, and she was friends with all these beautiful girls who went to our primary school as well, but everyone kind of knew us as a 2, and all of a sudden we weren't that sort of 2, and I felt like as I lost her, I kind of lost my identity as well. So I'd look at her new friends and like her new friendship group, and I'd think, you know, what is it they have that I don't. And I was like, well, they're all like beautiful girls. And I felt so out of control in that situation that I turned to my eating as like a way of control. And then from that, like, I had really bad like anorexia, I had really bad like body dysmorphia, and it felt like everything else in my world I was sort of losing grip of. So that was the one thing. Well, obviously, you know, anorexia is not a control, you're completely out of control, but in your head you're like, oh my god, I've got this under grips. And you know, I was losing all this weight and people were going, oh my god, you look amazing, like, wow. And it was just spiraling it. Sort of, I think people don't realise, I'm always so conscious when I see a friend who's lost weight, like, you know, I ask them how they are instead of being like, you know, oh my god, you look amazing and stuff, or, you know, I just don't really comment on it at all.
Yeah, I feel like that's really important, like, for people to know that you shouldn't comment on someone's weight like that, because you never know. Because with anorexia, it isn't always something that you can see. And I know what you were saying about trying to have that control, because at the time you felt like you were completely out of control. And I guess, was that like the first time you started analysing yourself and your body because you were comparing yourself to these girls?
Yeah, I was always slightly bigger than other girls growing up at school, and I wasn't like unhealthy, but you know, I've never naturally been that really slim build, which is fine. I wish I could go back and just be like, that is fine, like there's nothing wrong with you. But it was never really an issue. I'd have like odd remarks like in the playgrounds at like primary school, but it became a thing to me, and it became a thing of like importance of like, oh my god, I'm different. I remember like you know when you're a child and you just have that like overwhelming confidence. Like, I remember as a child, I was so confident. And I remember, because I was a little bit chunkier, it's like I had a bit more hip. Like, I had, like, kind of hips before the other girls did. And my mum used to, like, hype me up. She'd be like, no, darling, you've got an hourglass figure. That's what people want. And I'd be like, yeah, mum, I got an hourglass figure. And I used to, like, look at myself in my swimming costume for swimming and be like, oh, yeah, I got an hourglass figure. And I think that, I love that, like, sort of childhood confidence. It's like I loved the things about myself before like people could make me feel bad about them. So anyway, totally gone off on tangent. So like when I went to school, I think that was like the first time I was like, you know, the reason people don't want to be friends with me is because of the way I look. So I drastically changed the way I look, and then boys started showing interest and people wanted to be my friend again, which is just so messed up as it is, but it just sort of gave me that like validation that what I was doing was good. And I just want to put it out that I don't for one second like blame anyone for my eating disorder or like disorderly behaviour. We were all like, what, 11, 12 years old. I don't think anyone really understood what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I think my mum, my sister did at the time, but I had no idea what I was doing was really unhealthy.
I feel like at that age, people say like throwaway comments, and I have a few things that just stick in my head for like forever. Like there's certain things that kids say that obviously they don't mean any harm, but it sticks in your head, like no matter how young you are. With that, it's hard because they might not have meant it at all, but even like you said, like seeing people's reactions, like from the boys and people accepting you, it kind of fuels this whole thing in your head of like all the control and everything like that. But did you have like a solid friend throughout all of that, or was it just you in that group?
Yeah, so I did. Like, I look back and the people who were sort of friends with me through that, I'm like still so close with, and I always will be. Shout out to Izzy and Ellie. But they were like two girls who were in my form group and my tutor group, and I think Izzy especially kind of just, I think she knew, and she was so, to this day, she's just the kindest, most like warm, accepting person, and she's doing amazing things. She's like in the army now. But yeah, like she was just so kind, and she was always so understanding and stuff, and I think she just always had my back, and she's one of those people that's like, I'll really value her opinion forever, because like she kind of knows every inch of me, and I never feel uncomfortable. It's like she's a sister. It's like she's another part of me, and like I'm another part of her.
And then aside from school, what was it like at home for you at that time? Obviously, if you don't want to go into detail about this, you don't have to, but like, was it a positive atmosphere at home?
Yeah, I've always had a positive atmosphere at home. Like, I've never like suffered with like big brawls with my family, really. But I think it was hard for my mum and dad, like, seeing me go through it. But then I also think, I don't know, I don't remember talking to them about it that much. The whole thing was a bit of a blur, to be honest. I don't remember talking to them too much about it, because I myself didn't know there was anything wrong. Like, I was never, actually, I need to say this as well, I was never officially diagnosed with anorexia, but I never went to the doctors and talked about it. But it was very restricted, like, controlled eating. So I think if I had gone, it would have been, but it was just not a conversation that I sort of had with them. But with eating disorders and stuff like that, it's different, because it's like, I think you don't want help. It's like this secret that you sort of have, whereas when you're depressed or you're anxious, it's like you want to get better from it. You know, it's like you don't want to keep going down, like you kind of want to get out of it. But with an eating disorder, it's like it's addictive tendencies. And I had such like, I know OCD and like anorexia go very hand in hand, and I was so like weirdly controlled about everything. Like, my room was spotless 24/7. If I would do all my homework on the night I got it, and if I couldn't do it or I was going to a friend's that night, I'd spend like all my break times in the library doing all my homework. Like, I had such compulsions. I was such like a control freak. Yeah, and it dropped. Like, I know the point where it dropped when I got my first like boyfriend, and I think that was because I just had this final like sort of validation from someone else, and I finally felt like I was kind of in control of things.
Yeah. So was he supportive of you, or did you just never really talk about it? It kind of just went away?
Well, we were like, no one knew, because I don't think I knew myself. I think people just looked at me and thought I was losing weight. But yeah, like, I remember thinking, like, I remember being sat in a food tech class, and she was talking about the food groups and stuff, and she was talking about like carbs and fat and sugar, and you know, she was like, you know, everything in moderation is, you know, good for you, and stuff. She's like, if you eat too much sugar, like, you'll gain weight. If you eat too much fat, it's bad for your blood stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, well, I'm so healthy and I'm so like in control, I don't eat any of those. I used to live off like a sachet cup of soup a day. I used to throw away my lunch at school, and I come home and have one of those like 2-calorie soup things like every day. It was that or tortellini, because I knew exactly like the calories and the nutritional value and everything.
And did you have, like, how did that actually affect you? Because I know when you're controlling your diet that much, you literally, like, it depletes your energy and everything. Like, how did you actually get through the day?
I think that's part of the reason I can't remember that much. Like, I genuinely think it really, like, must have damaged my cognitive functions. And I remember I passed out at school a couple of times. But I just remember I was very tired. Like, I was very, I don't know, I don't know how I didn't just like diminish into nothing. Like, I look back and I just think, like, you know, what on earth were you doing? Yeah, like, I don't know, I think I just about barely got through the day, really, on like 0 energy. I don't remember being happy, I don't remember feeling good, but I used to sort of like thrive off that feeling of hunger, because I felt like I was doing something, I was in control of that. And I thought, you know, I have such amazing willpower, like, I'm so strong. But it was something else that completely had a hold over me. It wasn't my power, it was something else's.
Yeah. And then I guess, did your diagnosis with PCOS come after that, like shortly after that time period?
So I never had periods, basically. I had my first period when I was like 16 in the Wagamama's toilets in Bath, and after that I just didn't have one again, and they'd come really sporadically. It'd be like once every 8 months and stuff. And I also had terrible skin growing up, like, it's so terrible. And I'm actually still on meds. I've literally been on, do you know the drug Roaccutane?
Oh yeah, for acne.
literally on it, like I've been on it for years, and it's a pretty severe drug, but I just feel like I'm so used to the side effects now. I kind of just know how to deal with them. But I had terrible skin and all these different things, and I'm not being funny as well, this isn't something that anyone should ever be ashamed to talk about. I'd always like, I had more leg hair than other girls, and I'd have to shave my legs more, and I like wax my top lip and stuff, but my arms aren't actually really hairy, not that that's a problem, but yeah, and it was just like these kind of things. And then we kind of thought my periods, my lack of, was down to the eating and like the disordered eating growing up, because obviously, you know, that's a big thing, and I sort of thought, well, it's because of, you know, what I did to myself when I was younger. And I'd go to the doctors a lot, and they'd be like, yeah, it'll be fine, just, you know, come, if you're 18 and you're still not having them, then come back and we'll sort of figure it out. And I went on a pill for a while, which was the worst thing I've ever gone on ever. Every birth control I've ever gone on has been horrible. It like made me have a period for like 30 days. It was honestly terrible. So I did that, and then they were like, oh, well, you might have PCOS, so we'll do some blood tests. And I googled PCOS, and I was like, I have all these symptoms, like every single one, because one of them as well is being slightly larger. It's something like, what is it? 1 in 3 women with PCOS are obese because your body can't process like sugar.
Oh, I saw you saying in the video that it was like 98% or something of women.
It's crazy, like it's crazy. So I thought, you know, I had always been slightly bigger as a child, but yeah, so I carried on going to the doctors. They were like, nothing, and then I had this really good doctor. She actually lives in my village, she's a gem, and they do these blood tests on me because they have to test the hormone levels in your blood. And once again it came back negative, and she was like, I'm just going to send you in for a scan anyway, just in case, like an ultrasound scan, because they can see on your ovaries if you have it. And they sent me in for an ultrasound scan, and surely enough I had it. I don't know why, the hormones just hadn't been showing up in my blood tests. So yeah, so, you know, in a way I was like, oh well, shit, that's a bit peak, obviously no one wants it, but it was kind of, I was glad that I had a diagnosis and an explanation, and I didn't have to worry anymore.
The worst thing is the unknown, like, do I have it? Because you just want to know whether or not you have it, and then you can try and like find kind of steps to like solutions for it. So how did you actually feel? Because obviously, like you said, it was a relief that you like got diagnosed with it, but also it's not a nice thing to be told, especially at a young age.
Yeah, well, I think my mum and my dad were just like, oh my god, because, you know, obviously the first thing you think of is like, the main side effect is like fertility issues, and I think that is probably like one of the only things to be worried about. But I am sort of just in the mindset of like, it's really not, it's not as bad as it sounds, and it might be harder to have kids, but there's all sorts of operations, because basically, I'll explain the science a bit. So you don't have enough female hormones in your body, you have more testosterone in your body. So the testosterone is what sort of causes the oily skin and sort of like darker hair and the weight gain and stuff, and not being able to produce the sugar. Well, not produce the sugar, but like digest the sugar. It can't produce enough insulin or something. So what happens is your body, your ovary like has an egg here, but it doesn't have the female hormones to release the egg. So the egg sort of goes to the side of the ovary and like your eggs are held in like a bubble of fluid, and your female hormones burst that bubble of fluid, and then the egg sort of travels. But you don't have the female hormones to burst that fluid, so it just kind of moves to the side of your ovary and just stays there and sits there. So that's why it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome, because it's like the cysts, they're not really cysts, they're like the eggs. So the eggs sort of cluster around the ovary, and they form almost like a plastic bag around it, so the sperm can't get through, like it can't get through that barrier of like unburst eggs. But you can get these operations called, oh, it sounds disgusting, it's called like ovarian drilling, where they like drill through, they kind of like drill through that barrier. But then there's also like IVF, there's just so many other things. And I think, you know, I googled and like researched a lot, because there's not a lot of research into it, and it is a very common thing. It's like something like 1 in 3 women have it. It's not uncommon at all, but I think it goes very undiagnosed. I googled a lot into it, and there's no medication for it. There's nothing you can take. I think they say, you know, the only thing you can do is go on the pill to like regulate your hormones and like actually get the hormones in you. But I was on a pill for a while and fucking hated it, so I came off it. So yeah, I'm not currently on anything, and I think I'm gonna like start seeing like a specialist. My mum really wants me to, and I think I should, because it's sort of like they'll know more, but I think I might start seeing like a private specialist or something. Not that NHS isn't great, they are so great, but it's like, I think if you can try and deal with it at an earlier age, it's a lot more manageable.
Have you seen the Victoria's Secret model that had it, and she's pregnant now? And I think she dealt with it naturally or something. I was watching her video about it and it was crazy.
My mum is so like that, natural, don't take medication. Like, I refuse to even take paracetamol if I have a headache. Like, and she's always, you know, since I was a baby, I've always been on like homeopathy, that literally the only medication I take is for my skin, because it's the only thing that's ever worked, and literally if I came off it, my skin would be horrific, like horrendous. Yeah, I always try and do things like naturally where I can.
I was researching PCOS. People were saying that one of the side effects can be depression. Is that something that you struggled with?
Well, yeah, that was the thing. That was sort of one of the, because after the anorexia thing, then the depression hits. Woo! Never get a break. So I was really anxious, like really depressed, and I left school for a while, for like a few months, and basically, yeah, I was basically like too depressed to go into school, and I had like a doctor's sign off. And then I also dropped out of school. I like kind of went back to school, and then I left again, and I was homeschooled for like 9 months. But that was another thing that was sort of like, you know, we were like, I went through it at such a young age, and sort of at the age of puberty. Was that a factor? You know, was my hormones a factor? Because they're so important, and especially in a woman, I think hormones are so much more, sort of make themselves a lot more known and like a lot more prominent in a woman than a man, and I just didn't have them. Like, they just weren't there. Like, I don't have them in my body right now.
So moving on from the PCOS, you started your YouTube channel. How old were you when you started that?
Oh my god, I was maybe like 12, 13.
Hey everyone, so I'm doing the strip down challenge.
13?
Wait, I thought you were a lot older. Did you not do it properly till you were older?
Yeah, well, I was like 12, 13 when I started filming videos, and I remember my first ever video I filmed was like, my dad goes to Cleveland every single year to go and watch his favourite football team play. He like loves American football. Shout out to anyone who's a Browns fan. And yeah, he went to Cleveland, and he'd bring me back like the EOS lip balms and like the baby lips, all that stuff. Bless him, I can just imagine him like walking around Target like, what the f is this? And I remember getting, do you remember that e.l.f. eyeshadow palette? What was it called?
I know which one you mean.
The brown and the pink and the white one.
Yeah, it was called like eggshell or something like that.
Yeah. And I filmed a video of a haul, and I remember at the beginning being like, this isn't sponsored by the way, and it was like, who's gonna sponsor me? I literally had no followers, like, what? So I started doing that because I loved YouTube, like I loved it so much, and it was just a little hobby thing that I was doing. And then that channel got to like 3,000 subscribers, and I accidentally deleted it, and I remember like my soul was just broken when I don't know how I accidentally deleted it. But I did, and then like I made another one like 6 months later, and I just like upload every now and then yeah, I don't know how old I was when I did that, but I remember I started taking it seriously. I started taking it seriously when I started dating my ex-boyfriend, and he was like, you know, he was like, well, why don't you try with it? I had like 20k or something, and he was like, well, why don't you just like properly try? And he'd be like, oh my god, that's so cool, like how many times do you upload? I'm like, no, it's not, like it's not very good, like I don't get views, da da da. And he was like, well, why don't you just like actually try with it? I think because like I was afraid of failure, so I didn't try. And so I did, and then like one of my videos got kind of popular, I remember like Lewis put it on his story and I was like losing my shit. And it's the same, like I remember Liv DM me, like as in Olivia Grace.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god. And then like you and Liv followed me and I was just like, oh my god. And yeah, and then like Sophie started watching me and stuff. And
so how old were you at that point?
I would have been, I think 17.
And how did people react to it? Like obviously your boyfriend was supportive, but in school and stuff.
I really didn't get much stick for it, I don't think, which is quite surprising because my school was full of a-holes. I didn't get much stick for it, but I think it was more so like my boyfriend at the time then, I was before my ex-boyfriend, so my like ex-boyfriend, he was like a couple years older than me, and I was sort of with him from when I was like 14 till I was like 16, kind of like on and off, not officially together but kind of together. And he kind of made me feel a bit embarrassed of it at times. Like he'd like outwardly say to me, oh, it's so cringy. I wish I could go back, just be like, fuck you, like literally shut up, like you're 2 years older than me, get a life. But yeah, I don't know, it wasn't that bad, to be honest. I'm gonna say it was bad because it wasn't, but people were generally like quite cool about it. They didn't really care, like let me do it, let me get on with it, which is nice, like I appreciate that.
And then your YouTube started to take off. You were on like 20,000 subscribers when you dropped out of college, is that right?
Oh no, when I dropped out of college, so basically, what month was it? What year was it? I mean, I think it was 2018. November 2018, I uploaded a video called How to Look Older Than You Are. And it was just like a silly get ready with me. And that video blew up and I gained 130,000 subscribers in November. Like in that month alone.
One month?
Yeah. So I went from having like 40,000 to like just under 200,000 in a month. And it was crazy, like the video was getting millions of views. And I was still going to college at this point, and I was at quite like an unhappy point in my life at that point as well. I just wasn't really enjoying college. I felt a bit like disjointed in friendship groups, sort of. I couldn't drive yet either, and I live in the middle of nowhere, so like I just felt really quite trapped in like my situation. And I think too, sort of the stress of like, oh my god, what next? Like, what am I gonna do after college? I didn't know if I wanted to work full time, didn't know if I wanted to go to uni. I knew I wanted to do YouTube, so I hate talking about it because it's like, I feel like people will just roll their eyes, but I genuinely really started manifesting. And I'd like walk my dog every day, and as I said, like live in the middle of nowhere, I don't ever see anyone, and I'd like outwardly say all the things that I want to happen. And I remember like one of the things I used to say was like, on my 18th birthday I'm gonna be stood in like a pink dress, and I'm gonna feel so confident, and I'm gonna be feeling really good about the future, and I'm gonna have like a settled career, and I was like, I'm gonna have over 100,000 subscribers. And I would like say that every single day, and it was in that month that like that video just blew up and like everything happened. And obviously it was in November, and December time my mum just went, don't go back to college. Like she was the one, she was like, don't do it, like don't go back, because I was gonna have to stay like another 2 years. The course was not great, and I was like earning pretty good money, and she was like, just like make this work. If that's something that you want to do, like make it happen. And I'm so glad that I have such sort of supportive parents and stuff. And it is a risk, and it, you know, I do think about it, and I do think, you know, what if this doesn't work out one day? But I kind of just gonna deal with that when it comes to it.
So there's no guarantee with any job. Like I could be working at Waitrose and then be fired one day. Like I always think that, because it's like, it is a risk also because it is so up and down. Like you can have a really good month, you can have a really bad month, but that's kind of the same with any job. And it's such a cool opportunity that not everyone can do, and I'm sure so many people would love to be in the position that you were in. So it would be stupid of you not to take the opportunity, and especially if it's coming from your mum. Like, you listen to your mum. Like if she's telling you to do something, I think like you made the right decision. You've had so many cool opportunities come from it, and obviously there's all the positives that come from it, like all the people you've met and all the things you've done, but has there been a negative side with that too? Maybe it's like the hate comments and stuff, because I saw you talking about that on your story the other day.
So I'd say when I left college and started doing it, that was actually a really low time in my life, and I feel like I really needed that. Like, I kind of needed that big low. Basically, like, just my dad was really unwell. He was basically like couldn't move, like he couldn't even walk. He had like a slip disc in his back. This was like around the time of my 18th, and my mum was sort of having to run their business entirely on her own, because it's only those two who work for it. They own an art gallery. She was having to run the entire business on her own. You know, obviously it was really hard, like seeing my dad in so much pain every day. My sister was like going through some problems like with her house down in London, because she was living in uni. Our dog died. Like, it was just a lot at that time, and I was also sort of dealing with that transition of all of a sudden just like I'm in complete control of my life, and that mixed with I couldn't drive, I couldn't leave my area. There's not even a shop in our area, so I couldn't do anything, I couldn't see anyone. I was like very, very lonely, and I was very, very low. And I would spend a lot of time with my like now ex-boyfriend. I'd spend a lot of time staying with him in London, and I was really enjoyed that. And I feel like that's sort of why I love London sort of so much. Like, I'd always known I'd wanted to live there, but that to me just really, like, I don't know, just set it in stone. And I feel like people are always like, oh no, London's such a lonely city, but for me, just like being able to walk out the door and even just having like seeing faces was so like comforting to me, like I wasn't alone. So yeah, I spend a lot of time with him, but also that was the time in my life where I was earning the most money I had ever earned, and I was getting like, my AdSense was like so good, and I was getting so much money from just that. I didn't even have to do brand deals, and it really just kind of set in stone. It's like, no money can bring you happiness. Like, if you know, I was just a lonely girl with like a big bank account. It sounds so like lame, but you know, I was earning good money for my age, but I didn't have any sort of, I felt like I didn't have any valuable relationships. I felt very alone, I felt very trapped, and it sort of really helped me put my priorities straight. And then I also think, you know, now I always look back and I think, right, you know, this is shit, I might be feeling shit about this, but I have so much perspective because I've been through so much worse. Like, I'm not claiming to have, you know, gone through the worst things in the world. I know I'm very lucky, and I have been very lucky my whole life. But yeah, like, I'm really, really grateful that I've like kind of been through it. I feel like I've been through the worst of my life at such a young age, and it makes everything so much easier to deal with.
Yeah, I feel like you've probably learnt so much, even if you haven't realised, like, from that. And I think sometimes when you kind of have to reach a rock bottom in order to grow and learn so much from that. And sometimes I see people and you can kind of tell from a person that they haven't had that yet or been through that, because I think things like that really shape you into the person you are today. And do you feel like you are in a better place now mentally?
Absolutely. I think I'm probably right now at this point in my life like the happiest I've ever been. I've just got so many exciting things happening, and you know, just literally despite being in lockdown, having just gone through a breakup, like all this stuff, it's like I just feel so free. Like, I feel so free and so liberated, and I feel like I'm finally, I don't know, it's like I felt so guilty for so long, because I was like, you know, why am I so, well, not for so long, but for like the time that I was down, like when I just left college, I was like, I've got something that so many people would kill for, and I've spent my whole life chasing, which is sort of, you know, the success, I guess, on YouTube that I've always wanted. And like, you know, I've got more money. I had no money before. I was working a job that paid me £45 a month, like working down at my local pub. Like, I had no money. I literally couldn't afford to like buy lunch most days, and it's like I had all these things that I was just longing for and like chasing, and then I had them and I was like, why am I not happy? And it was shit, because I was like, I've got this, but I feel like I can't fully enjoy it because my head wasn't in the right place. But now it's like I feel like I'm able to, you know, really appreciate and love YouTube and everything that's come with it, and it's really nice.
And you mentioned your breakup with Will. How did you deal with that, especially during lockdown? Like, how did you process that?
Yeah, so it was, I waited a while to talk about it online, sort of out of respect, and also just, I don't know, I'm always so aware of like I'm aware of looking like I'm using something or feelings or emotions to like gain popularity or spark conversation, because unfortunately it is something that happens a lot. And I sort of thought maybe I can just let this slip under the radar, maybe people will just stop messaging me, because even whilst we were still together, I didn't put our relationship online that much because he's quite a private person, and like I appreciated that and I respected that. But even whilst we were together, people were still like, oh my god, have you broken up? Because we weren't posting together all the time, and I never wanted to like monetize our relationship, if you know what I mean. I never really wanted to gain off of it, because I just think it puts a lot of pressure on it. So, you know, some time had passed and we weren't together, and I was thinking, you know, maybe this will just slip, maybe people will just forget, or maybe people will just cotton on or just realise, and they didn't. I was still getting all the messages, and it was a very like mutual breakup. No one did anything wrong, no one cheated, no one like did anything terrible. I don't even really feel like I need to say that. Yeah, and there was no massive big argument there that like caused us to break up. It was just, as I've said, like I've kind of been in serious relationships since I was like 14 years old, and I think we both sort of felt like our lives were just taking us so differently, and it was really important for us to grow on our own, I guess. Yeah, so the comments didn't stop coming, so I just thought I'm gonna have to address it. It's like I kind of wanted to address it. Yeah, some other stuff happened, we're not gonna get into it, but it just sort of, it felt like the right time to address it. And I just, for his sake and for my sake as well, I feel like we both were just like, this is done, like you guys know it's done, all of that.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're in a better place now. It's weird that you have to, like with this job, you're almost expected to talk about things that usually you like wouldn't want to talk about. Like you wouldn't do that if you weren't in this profession, so that's weird. But I'm glad that you are, like it is looking up, and you've, like you said, you've got loads of exciting things coming. Like what are a few, not like, don't have to say, but like do you have loads of things like in the works that are coming?
Not anything like, you know when YouTubers are like, I've got a secret project I'm working on. I've never had a secret project I've ever been working on. I don't have any secret projects coming up. But I am going down to London today for a few flat viewings. No way.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, like with Flossie, this is not the only thing you'll talk about, but whenever we meet up, it's just always, you're always talking about your house and how that's your dream, so that makes me so happy. Are you renting or are you buying it?
You know me, Evie, as you say, all I talk about is house and home, and my mum will vouch for me this. I'm such like a nest person. Like for literally as long as I can remember, my main goal in life is just to have a beautiful home and like a beautiful house, and I save all my money, and that's kind of something I'm actually trying to work on. I'm trying to be a better spender. Like I'm trying to spend my money more, because it's like I'll have all this money sat in the bank and I won't touch it, and every single thing I get paid, I pay myself £300 a month. Like I literally, and then I put everything else into savings, which obviously like £300 a month is still a lot of money. But I'm so obsessed with saving money because I'm just like, house, like oh my god, this house, like yeah, I've got to have this house, I've got to have it now. And if you don't know, if you're self-employed, before you buy a house you need like 3 years of books, I think, to get a mortgage. You have to get approved for a mortgage, obviously, because you know your income isn't guaranteed. And I'm basically just sick of living here, not like living in this house with my family, but like living in the Cotswolds in the middle of nowhere. And you know, now that I'm so independent in my life, I just feel like I'm ready, and I'm ready to spend some money, because before I was always like, oh, you know, rent, it's dead money, you know, you've got nothing to show for the end of it. But it's like,
but also it's an investment into your business as well. Like, you're investing in this, you're going to be in London where everything's happening, and I think it will definitely be great for your channel too. Are you moving in like by yourself?
No, I haven't wanted to say like officially, because obviously nothing's set in stone, and nothing still is set in stone, but I'm pretty sure she's going to be filming this weekend. But me and Olivia
Neal?
Yeah.
I was going to say Olivia Grace. I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, me and Olivia. So we're staying
So good, like all the nights out and everything as well.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be close to you and Liv, and I'll just be closer to everyone. It'll be so nice. I can't wait.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so good. And yeah, I feel like we've touched on not everything in your whole life, but loads of different points, and I feel like we should kind of wrap it up now. And once again, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing everything that you say, and hopefully this will help loads of people. And yeah,
thank you so much for having me. It's been so nice. I feel like a free woman. Usually, like, when I film these videos, have you ever like filmed a video of you just like mid breakdown? So I've done it so many times where like I film a video and I think I'm gonna put it on YouTube, and I go back to edit and I'm like, that is not going anywhere. Like, that is not going anywhere.
I literally cannot upload this. I can't even watch it back sometimes.
Yeah, but it's really nice. And I think too, like, the whole school thing and stuff, it breaks my heart to think of other girls sort of going through it. And I think just as long as you know it's temporary, school doesn't last forever, like, there's a whole big wide world out there waiting for you, and just don't stop caring so much. Like, I think that's number one advice I will give to like anyone sort of going through friendship struggles or anything at school. It's like, you just have to stop caring so much, because in the grand scheme of things, those people are nothing. If they're making you feel rubbish, they're nothing.
It's been great chatting to you. I feel like I've learned stuff about you as well as about your moving out, like, what the hell. So yeah, this has been so fun and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. I feel so honoured to be asked. I feel weird though, because it's like I feel like I should be like asking you questions and stuff. How are you, Evie? Are you doing good?
But yeah, that was Flossie. Everyone make sure you check out Flossie's social media, even though everyone probably already knows who she is and everything. But your Instagram's Flossie now, isn't it? It's not Pepperoni Playboy. That is so fun. So I've just finished the FaceTime with Flossie, and like she was saying at the end, we really hope that this video can help someone or give comfort to someone that maybe is going through a similar thing. And we just want to remind you that you are not alone, and hopefully this video can reinforce that. And like I said, hopefully this series raises how YouTubers' lives definitely are not perfect, and I think we have these platforms, and that's why I respect Flossie so much for coming on this, because she has such a big platform and she's being super vulnerable in this video, and I appreciate that so much, and I hope everybody watching does too, because it takes a lot to actually come on a video and talk about things that are really difficult to discuss. So I really look up to her for that, and I love you, Flossie, if you're watching this. And yeah, if you do enjoy this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on post notifications, and follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok. And also don't forget to follow Flossie, even though I'm pretty sure all of you guys already know Flossie, but I'll link her YouTube channel and her Instagram and everything down below, so make sure you go check her out. She is amazing, her videos are really funny and she's beautiful. And yeah, let me know who you want to see me interview next. DM me on Instagram or comment on the live section on this video. Obviously I don't have comments on my YouTube channel, which is really frustrating, but I do have the live chat, which stays up for a bit, I think. I don't really know how it works, but if I premiere my video I get a live chat, so I can actually interact with you guys a little bit, even though I can't reply to you on there. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent, but let me know who you want to see, and for now I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Oh baby, I love